Hello, and thank you for your invitation to speak at the UK Internet Governance Forum. I'm delighted to be joining you all virtually. This year, the medium is the message. We really are practicing what we preach. What better way to demonstrate the opportunities of digital technologies than by connecting online to exchange ideas? I'd like to talk to you today about the government's digital and data strategies. I'd like to update you on our online harms agenda and our work on digital identity. Digital has been at the very heart of the UK's COVID-19 response. Every single one of us, myself included, has leaned upon digital technology to work, to educate our kids, to connect with loved ones. Likewise, tech has proved crucial for the survival of many businesses. According to new research, more than 85,000 businesses have launched online stores or joined online marketplaces in the last 4 months. UK digital innovation has made an immense social contribution. It's been instrumental in supporting households that are shielding, reducing potentially unsafe human contact, and monitoring social distancing. It's also shown us the very best of ourselves. Over 750,000 volunteers use the NHS Good Sam app to sign up and help out in the initial stages of the pandemic. The government is committed to securing the enormous potential that the digital and tech sectors can bring to the UK. The increased importance of digital technology and data in our lives, the growing role they must play in the future, mean we need a new and ambitious digital strategy. We'll publish the strategy by the end of this year to ensure that we maximise the benefits of a digital-led economic recovery. The strategy will set out a path to harnessing the digital transformation, accelerating growth, and building a more inclusive, competitive and innovative digital economy for the future. This means ensuring that individuals and businesses have first-class connectivity at home, at work, and on the move. It means ensuring that as many people as possible have the skills to reap the benefits of being online, and that as many companies as possible are able to adopt technologies that can transform our lives, benefit society, and drive prosperity and growth. It means ensuring that we govern technologies in a way that boosts trust, provides clarity to business, and unlocks growth and innovation across the economy. We must ensure that our approach to governing digital technologies is pro-innovation, proportionate and coherent, and that our regulatory framework and institutions are fit for the digital age. I want the digital strategy to be informed by a diverse range of perspectives. The strategy must reflect your needs and the changes you most want to see in the years ahead. The internet has in many ways transformed our lives for the better. It's revolutionised our ability to connect with each other and enabled previously inconceivable economic opportunities. However, recent Ofcom research has shown that more than half of us would like more places to seek help and more straightforward procedures for reporting concerns to tech companies. We must confront online harms and protect those who are vulnerable to them. That's why the government intends to establish in law a duty of care on companies towards their users. The duty of care will ensure that companies have robust systems and processes in place to tackle illegal content and protect children. It will also hold companies accountable for enforcement of their own terms and conditions. Our online harms legislation will be ready early next year. In the meantime, we will publish the full government response to the online harms white paper consultation, and that will be later this year. While I have this opportunity, I'd also like to talk to you about the National Data Strategy. Data is now the driving force of the world's modern economies, and it has been one of our most important tools in the battle against COVID-19. The ability to share information quickly, efficiently and ethically has saved lives, while enabling us to keep the economy going and stay connected with loved ones. The National Data Strategy is a framework for the action this government will take on data. It's not the final answer, but part of a conversation about the way that we support the use of data in the UK. The Secretary of State for DCMS, Oliver Dowden, launched the consultation on the Framework National Data Strategy on the 9th of September 2020. The strategy is ambitious and pro-growth. It places the availability of data and the confidence in its use at its heart. It aims to position the UK as a global champion of data and drive the international flow of information across borders, while ensuring data protection standards are maintained. This will include ensuring existing principles of fairness and transparency are applied to technologies being deployed in new ways, such as using algorithms or big data to help deliver public services. I invite you to contribute your views to the consultation through the gov.uk website. And finally, I'm pleased to see that building trust in digital identity is part of the agenda for this year's UK IGF. Being able to prove identity digitally has become essential to facilitate everyday tasks, particularly in these unprecedented times. Respondents to last year's Digital Identity Call for Evidence told us that they wanted the government to take a leading role in developing the UK's digital identity economy. They wanted the government to create a clear framework that enables businesses to innovate and individuals to access the products and services they want with ease, confident that they are protected from fraud. The government will develop proposals for a legal framework to remove regulatory barriers which prevent the use of secure digital identities. We will also develop the next generation of digital identity use in government and promote a pragmatic approach to international digital identity standards. I look forward very much to working with many of you to support the next phase of the digital identity economy. I hope that you really enjoy the rest of this week's discussion. I look forward very much to hearing the conclusions you reach and seeing a strong UK message delivered at the UN IGF in November.
We are joined by the Minister here today, which I'm very happy to say, and really looking forward to that Q&A, which Russell Hayworth, the CEO of Nominet, will be chairing for you in just a couple of minutes. But before I hand over, let me introduce the Minister. Caroline Dinenage was appointed Minister of State for Digital and Culture in the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport in February 2020. She was Minister of State at the Department of Health and Social Care from January 2018 to February 2020 and Parliamentary Under Secretary of State at the Department for Work and Pensions from June 2017 to January 2018. She was Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for Women, Equalities and Early Years at the Department for Education from July 2016 to June 2017. She was elected Conservative MP for Gosport, Stubbington, Lee on the Solent and Hillhead in 2010. Caroline has more than 20 years of experience as a small business owner, having established her own manufacturing company before university. As I said, we're delighted that she's able to join us here today. And as I neglected to give you a couple of housekeeping points before I introduced the intervention, let me clarify those for you now. If you wish to ask a question during the session, either a question for the keynote speaker, the Minister, or if you're experiencing any technical issues, please select the Q&A button in your Zoom webinar control panel. If you wish to chat to the attendees, the other attendees, please use the chat function. The webinar will be recorded and shared on the UK IGF website after the event. So with no further ado, I will hand over to Russell now. Russell, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sheetal. Very good to be with you all today, and hopefully we'll be joined by the Minister very soon. We've got a 20-minute session here, and these are just to engage with the Minister on a number of questions. There have been 6 questions submitted by the registered participants, so hopefully we'll get through all of those this morning. There have been a number of questions that have touched on what the Minister has outlined in her speech, which I thought was a great overview of what the UK is focused on and a great opportunity now to ask some further clarifying questions by those that have submitted questions pre the session today. This session unfortunately won't be able to field other Q&As. We've got a limited amount of time, so I propose to jump straight into it and welcome the Minister for those questions. So good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Russell. Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you virtually.
Yes, well, we're all getting used to this. I'm just about to cracked the ability to not mute myself at the most inappropriate times. So that's a big step forward after 6 months.
Well, I think that's a very good achievement, and I often feel very ashamed as Minister for Digital when I end up pushing the wrong button, end up chatting away without unmuting myself, etc., etc. I feel like I should be a lot more tech savvy given my current job title.
Yeah, well, I'm sure learning on the job. So but let's jump it straight into it. I know we've only got a short amount of time, and I thought what we could do is just tackle the questions as they came in order. Some of these have been anonymous and some of them are attributed. So the first question that came in was from Tess Leyland at the Internet Watch Foundation. And the question was, how does government plan to balance supporting the growth of the digital economy with the protection of children online? So perhaps if I can hand over and we can discuss that first point.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Tess, for your question. So I've had a lot of conversations about this in recent weeks, and I actually don't believe that there is a trade-off between online safety and economic growth. I actually think that in many ways harmful content and activity online kind of poses a risk to, not only poses a risk to the safety of users, but actually if you do come into contact with harmful content, or you feel that your safety's been compromised, it actually undermines your confidence in the digital economy and can stop people engaging. So I think there's that. But actually, one of the things that we outlined in the Online Harms White Paper is that the government expects companies to use proportionate tools, including things like age assurance and age verification technology, things that can prevent children accessing age-inappropriate content, protecting other vulnerable people from harms. And so in order to support this, we are really committed to delivering an ambitious programme of safety tech, really, the activity that supports the growth of the UK safety technology sector. And I think that, there is a huge amount of economic potential with this, because I think, safety technology helps companies to build stronger and safer online communities. Obviously it offers extra protections to children, and a thriving, innovative UK safety sector will of course be really important in supporting the transition to our online harms regulatory regime. But not only that, the eyes of the world are watching what we do here with our online harms work. It is groundbreaking. And the UK is already a world leader in this sector, and we're investing more and more to support the industry and to accelerate growth. And so, as you know, I'm really delighted that the government's partnering with Nominet and Innovate UK to launch a new safety tech innovation network at the end of this month. And as part of our national data strategy, also we're funding £2.6 million for a new project to understand how the better use of data can support developments of AI solutions to combat online harms. We really want to drive global action in this area, and I think that there is a huge amount of economic potential from keeping people safe online, and I want us to be at the forefront of capitalising on that.
No, I love that. I think the whole concept of safety tech, particularly the UK, that's really well positioned to take the lead on this, and it's a really interesting but quite emerging sector. So I'm very excited about some of the things that are happening, and particularly grateful that the UK's government, DCMS in particular, are taking a really active role in that. And there was a paper that you guys published not so long ago around safety tech, which I thought was really comprehensive and really showed how much support you're putting into the safety tech arena. So, and it's
Got a
great.
very strong team on this, and they're very passionate that this is a force for good, but actually it's also a force for strength in the UK economy as well.
Yeah, no, it's excellent, excellent. Good. Well, in the interest of time, I'm going to spin right into the next question, and it's a bit of a mouthful, this question. So it's from ICANN, and what they really want to know is, as ICANN, we're particularly interested in supporting global interoperable internet addressing systems and protocols. And we closely monitor policy initiatives. So, for example, you mentioned online harms that might inadvertently affect those systems. So the question is, are your teams working on prioritizing the important distinction between technical and content layers, and sufficiently careful about understanding the underlying infrastructure to avoid unintended consequences? So nothing like a punchy question from my.
I'll try and make my answer as concise as the question then, Russell. Thank you to ICANN for your question. So basically, from what you're saying, that they're asking me if we can make a clear distinction between the technical and the content layers of the internet. But actually, our online harms proposals won't affect the technical architecture of the internet, because only services which directly host user-generated content and enable user interaction will be subject to the new duty of care. So business-to-business services which provide infrastructure to companies, for example, they won't be in scope of the new regulatory framework. And actually the UK government really supports the development of open technical standards. It's really important that this is led by the private sector and the tech community, and a sort of multi-stakeholder governance model. And so we really, we actively support these processes and models, and we participate in open technical standards processes and try and promote transparency and good governance and things like consensus-based outcomes wherever we can. So I don't see that this will be a problem.
Yeah, and I think the UK certainly being a big advocate of ICANN and is fully engaged in a number of the ICANN processes throughout, both on the technical side as well as more on the governance side. So I think there's a lot of eyes on some of these challenges to try and draw that technical and content distinction. So I think there's a lot of work going on, which kind of bleeds into the next question, really, again from ICANN. And it says here that really the question is one about an observation and then a question. So the UK has been an active and positive contributor to EU communication policies over the decade, quite often softening more of the statist tendencies of the European partners, and in particular as being a champion of the multi-stakeholder approach, which is obviously very prevalent at UK IGF and ICANN. So the question really is, can we therefore hear your views on the UK internet and internet governance policy post-Brexit? And particularly, do you anticipate any areas of divergence from the EU? So I think it's one of those kind of Brexit questions about policy and trying to understand, when we look forward, are we going to start to diverge from the EU's position?
Okay, thank you, Russell. Thank you again. I can. I think, well, of course, there's going to be specific areas of digital policy where the UK is going to be able to choose our own path, to plough our own path in the future. But I think largely the UK and the EU continue very much to agree on the fundamental principles of the way we govern the internet. And I think we will continue to work together in all the kind of international forums to support free and open and secure internet. I think largely our priorities are aligned in this. And obviously, as I say, the UK continues to support the kind of multi-stakeholder model of the global internet governance, in which all stakeholders have got a really strong role to play, and that we see that as the best way of delivering this vision. The internet of course, is global, and that's the strength of it. And more than ever, we need to be able to work globally with like-minded countries to keep it that way. And some countries want more kind of top-down government control over how the internet is run, but we will keep promoting, in the UK, we'll keep promoting the sort of multi-stakeholder model of internet governance, which has allowed the internet to develop so successfully. I mean, but obviously we want to bring in sort of legislation here in the UK just to help keep people safer online, but we don't see that there's a massive divergence between where we want to end up and where our EU friends want to end up.
Great, thank you. I think that's one of the key questions actually that I was going to perhaps ask, was this area of policy focus and how that diverges from the EU moving forward. So thanks for that. The next question is submitted anonymously, but it's around COVID-19. And the question is, COVID-19 shone a light on the UK's digital divide, and there's a clear overlap between digital exclusion and social exclusion, and then social exclusion and poverty and health inequalities. So what's the UK's government approach to addressing these issues going forward?
Yeah, it's whoever asked it, it's a really, really pertinent question, and it's one that the government's thinking a lot about at the moment, because I think COVID brought, suddenly forced everybody to do so much more online. As you all know, we were all being educated online, working online, socializing with our friends and family online. And to those that didn't either have the equipment or the skills to be able to engage with that, clearly they were at a massive disadvantage. And I say equipment or skills because it is not just a case of the government going around handing out iPads or phones to people and expecting them to then be able to access all the benefits of sort of digital enablement, because people need not only the skills, but they need the confidence to be able to do that as well. I mean, I often have to be shown how to do something 2 or 3 times before it finally clicks. I don't know about you. So it's a real issue that we have to tackle on a number of different fronts. And therefore it requires a very varied and tailored approach, I think. We have a local digital skills partnership in DCMS, which has been collaborating with local organisers and national partners to help build this digital skill base, but also the resilience to distribute devices to vulnerable groups and support regional economic recovery. We've also been working with the Devices.now campaign, and they're very good because they work within community organisations to distribute devices to vulnerable adults and help them, and more importantly, to help them get online, so to deliver the skills and the confidence to be able to use them. But the scale of the problem is massive, and we've been sort of trying to promote them as much as possible to get quite a lot of the platforms and the big companies involved to try and support their work, because we think this is a problem that needs tackling on a number of fronts. And then, of course, as I say, it's also about the skills. So in April this year, the government launched the Skills Toolkit, which is about helping people to use digital tools and offering a range of digital and numeracy classes and courses, which obviously are free to the public and give people the opportunity to try and build up all manner of digital skills to be able to support them. But, we were very aware of the obstacles that COVID presented to people who weren't able to access, including health advice, for example, and so it is a huge priority.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is that is around initiatives like devices are encouraged by the government, but actually a bunch of grassroots initiatives trying to address a problem, which I think is great because it's effective in its approach, and the ability to use initiatives like devices, which covers all ages and income groups to try and tackle the problem, is really great, and we're seeing more and more. Nominet, I know, is involved in a lot of those initiatives as well, and we're trying to ensure that particularly our focus is on the young people and trying to improve the lives of 1 million people. But I know there's a whole bunch of private initiatives that are helping and the government supporting.
There is another issue here, Russell, around sort of connectivity as well. So even if you've got the equipment and you've got the skills to use it, sometimes if people are in financial difficulty, that they're not able to access the connectivity that they need. And during the pandemic, the government agreed a set of measures with the telecoms industry to support vulnerable customers, including things like the removal of fixed broadband data caps and free or low cost mobile data. So I think there are so many aspects to this, but I think COVID has really exposed what a massive challenge it is.
I think we've got time for one final question. And again, this was submitted anonymously, but a good question nonetheless. The question really is, what have your department's key learnings been so far from the pandemic, and how will this shape the UK's digital future?
Okay, I hope you don't mind that there's somebody obviously wheeling something outside my office window very, very loudly at the moment. I hope you and your viewers can't hear it. Obviously the digital barriers, I think, were a learning for us at the extent of that. But it also proved to us how digital has been at the very heart of the UK's COVID-19 response. And because for the first time ever, Google became the new classroom, Zoom became the new boardroom, and YouTube became our theatre. And so the importance of all the money and all the government and private sector support that had gone into the research and development, sort of a pro-regulatory, innovation regulatory environment, all suddenly came to the fore during this process. And I think the improved use of data was really important to help us support families that were shielding and to monitor social distancing and help us kind of adapt to this new normal that we were all facing. And I think we saw sort of overnight systems that had often taken many, many years to get up and running, such as, e-consult with GPs. My local GP had never attempted e-consult, and now they do very little else, and that transition happened overnight. So that kind of digital transformation has kind of reshaped the whole of the economy and society. And as we move forward, that is going to require a really strategic cross-government approach, because it's not just in our department, it's literally across education, health, etc., etc. And that means we need to be even more focused on harnessing our world-leading tech sector so that it can really drive our economy forward and support people into the future. And it's what has been remarkable, as I said in my little speech at the front of this, how many businesses and people have been able to move very quickly online and adapt to new technologies, and that shows the importance of investing in digital skills and technology and the infrastructure to support it all. And that's why we've brought forward this digital strategy, which we're going to publish later on this year, to really drive that kind of growth and maximise the benefits of a kind of tech-led economic recovery.
Yeah, and I think the infrastructure component is such a key part of all of that when it comes to fibre to the premises and 5G and accelerating the infrastructure, which will, we're all going to be online in the future, and that's a new component of everybody's way of life, then accelerating investments, which actually helps fuel the economy in the telecoms infrastructure, has got to be a main priority. I know that's something that the UK government's very active on as well.
Yeah, and of course we saw new challenges. We saw things like disinformation really come to the fore as you talk about 5G, but we saw people burning down 5G masts and indeed 2G and 3G masks as well, because they couldn't tell the difference. But that was all spread as a phenomenon of disinformation, which has already always been a thing. But I think it really only occurred to us how powerful that can be during this lockdown process.
Yeah. Now, while we've been talking, we've been getting some great questions in the chat function, which I'm not going to spring on you now, and nor do we have time. But what I would suggest is we try and tackle those so we can share them and get your perspectives on those perhaps offline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very happy to have a look at this lot, isn't there? Yeah, I'm very happy to look at all those questions and ping something back over the duration of your conference.
That's great. That's fantastic. Listen, Minister, thanks so much for your time and actually a really candid discussion. So thank you for your insights, and wish you a great day.
Thank you so much, and to you and to everybody watching. Please, enjoy the rest of this this conference. It looks the program looks really fascinating, and I will try and dip in myself to pick up on some of what lies ahead. It looks brilliant. Have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.